Hey guys, it's Mr. Payden. I wanted to make this extra help video for you to go over the last few examples from the 3.11 Problem Solve with Decimals Class Connect. I know Mrs. Kreider and Mrs. Smith um, got to a certain point with the examples we had prepared. Just to let you know, all these questions and answers are already uploaded into the OneNote, so you can go and click through the pages on your own. But let me flip around the camera and just go through these last few very challenging examples from this, the toughest decimals lesson and last decimals lesson of the unit, 3.11 Problem Solve with Decimals. Okay, so I think this is the last one that you guys completed. And there's the answer. So let's move on to this one. Two youth groups participated in a 3-week recycling project. Group A collected 15 and 49 hundredths pounds during week 1, 20 and 82 hundredths pounds during week 2, and 22 and 91 hundredths pounds during week 3. Group B collected 3 times as much as Group A. How much did Group B collect? Enter the total. Let me just read it how it's written here. Enter the total amount Group B collected. That's what we need. So the first thing I would want to do here is look up and see what we know about Group B. We know that Group B collected 3 times as much as Group A. So if we have the total of Group A times 3, that'll get us our answer, Group B. Okay, so the total of Group A times 3 is Group B. But we don't have the total of Group A yet. All we know is Group A, it's sort of divided up into 3 different weeks. We have that quantity, and that quantity that we'll need to add up to get the total. Add those things up, and we'll have total of Group A. So that would be what I want to do. What I want to do now. I want to get the sum of the Group A numbers here. So this one on the quiz, question 4 and 5 on the quiz, they give you a calculator, so you don't have to do it the long way here, but I'm going to just work it out. We have 15 and 49 hundredths plus 20 and 82 hundredths plus 22 and 91 hundredths. We need to make sure the decimal points lined up so that we're adding the proper place values row by row, column by column, starting from the right, 9, 10, 11, 12. Regroup to 1, 4, 5. 5 plus 8 is 13, plus another 9 is 22. Drop the decimal point. 2 plus 5 is 7, plus another 2 is 9. 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. Sorry, it's a little hard to read. 59 and 22 hundredths is what I get. That's the total for Group A. But that's just the first step. We need to now figure out Group B's total, and that's 3 times Group A. So on the next slide here, I show that worked out, and I want to direct your attention down here. The total amount Group B collected is 3 times the sum of Group A. Note how I wrote this. You see how I put the sum of the Group A numbers in parentheses there? This is an expression that we'll get to a whole unit on expressions later, but this 3 times that whole sum in parentheses tells us that we need to add up all those numbers in parentheses and multiply it by 3. This shows all the steps in one. That's what we're doing here. But so far we just added those numbers. Now we need to multiply them by 3. So I'm going to, let's switch pen colors here. Let's do 59 and 22 hundredths times 3. Now when we're multiplying decimals, again with this question, since you have a calculator, you don't have to work it out by hand, but if we work it out by hand, multiplying decimals, we no longer line up the decimal points, we just line it up. We make it right justified, pretend like there's a wall to the right, just like with whole numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Next, I'll be doing 9 times 3, which is 27. And notice I'm not even worrying about the decimal point yet. I'm just going to add it in at the end. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 2 is 17. So I get that But now, very importantly, I need to place a decimal point. Remember, we place it in the product, however many places it's moved over from the end of the number, from the right side of the number here in any of the factors. Or you could think about it as counting how many digits are to the right of decimal points in the factors. It's only in the first factor here where we even have digits to the right of the decimal point. There's 2 of them, so that means we float it over from the end of the number, from the far right of the number, 2 bunny hops to the left to get 177 and 66 hundredths as our total for Group B. That's it. We're done here. So 2 steps. To summarize, we had to add up the different quantities for how much Group A collected and multiply that by 3 to get how much Group B collected, which was the question asked. Okay, so this next question, we had it set up as a second success ticket that we didn't get to. It's another one where you're allowed to use a calculator. 4 friends purchase 18 4/10 pounds of peaches. The peaches cost $1.75 per pound. Okay. The friends share the cost of the peaches equally. What amount does each person pay? So, the first thing I think I want to do here is get the total cost of the peaches, right? If we're trying to figure out how much each person pays for these peaches, but we don't have the total cost of the peaches. All we know is we have this many pounds of peaches, and it costs this much per pound. Now that word per pound gives us a clue here, a clue to multiply. That means per 1 pound. Okay, normally we don't put the 1 there. And this is a good example of a unit rate, which we'll get to later. But we have 18 4/10 pounds, and it costs $1.75 per 1 pound. All we need to do is multiply 18 and 4/10 times $1.75, and it'll get us a total cost of those peaches. We need the total, again, because we're trying to figure out how much each person pays for the peaches, not just, 1 peach or a couple pounds of peaches. It's all the peaches. How much does each person pay? So let's do this multiplication. We're going to do 5 times 4 to get 20. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 2, 42. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. But we get to use a calculator, so you could just plug it in. But I'm showing you the long way here, by hand. Okay, now going over to the next digit, I'm putting a placeholder 0. Let's go back to, I'll pick another color here. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 8 is 56 plus 2, 57, 58. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 5 is 12. Now I'm going over to the 1, so I need 2 placeholder zeros. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. Let's add them up. 0, 8 plus 2 is 10. Regroup the 1 there. 9 plus 1 is 10. Plus 8 is 18. Plus 4 is 22. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3. I get 3, 2, 2, 0, 0. Now, how many digits do I need to move my decimal point over? So let's count how many numbers we have to the right of decimal points in the factors. That's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 decimal points in the factors there. So basically, I just pretended like I did 184 times 175, and now I'm going to place my decimal point 3 over to get 32.200, or we're talking about money here, right? This is how much these peaches cost. The whole 18 4/10 pounds times $1.75. So I would write this as 3220, right? With money, you usually go out to the hundreds place. There's no need for that other zero. All right, so now that we have the total amount of peaches, how much does each person pay? This word each is a clue to do division. All right, this word share, well, not necessarily. It depends on the context, but share is a clue to do division. If we have a total cost there, and each person is sharing the cost, and there's 4 people, assuming that they're sharing the cost equally. And it doesn't necessarily say that in the lesson, but we're assuming they're each sharing the cost equally. They're dividing it up, and they're each going to pay the same amount. All we have to do is divide by 4 here. So I'm going to take my 3230 and divide by 4. 4 doesn't fit into 3. 4 fits into 32 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. Put the decimal point right there. 4 does not fit into 3 here. 0 times 4, 0. 3, 0. 4 fits into 30. How many times 4 fit into 30? Wait, I made a mistake. 3220, not 3230. Whoopsie. Okay, let's backtrack a second. This is 3220. Okay, so still this step's the same, that step's the same. It's still 4 doesn't fit into 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. How many times 4 fit into 20? It's just going to be 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. So we're done. It comes out to $8.05. $8.05 each. Here's all the steps summarized on the slides if you want to look at it step by step. You can sort of check your answer here. If they each paid $8.05, if you multiplied that by 4, you should get $32.20, which was our the total cost of those peaches. So we had to figure out the total cost of the peaches and then divide by 4 to figure out how much each person paid. Okay, last example. A scientist placed 22 and 854 thousandths grams of sodium chloride in a beaker. He then added 5 times as much calcium chloride as sodium chloride. Finally, he divided the mixture into 4 dishes. How much is in each dish? All right, so before worrying about dividing it up into 4 dishes, what I need to do is figure out how much total mixture there is. They're telling us we have 22 and 854 thousandths grams of sodium chloride, but we're adding that. Remember, he said he added 5 times as much calcium chloride as sodium chloride. So that could be a little bit confusing what they mean by that. They're saying the amount of calcium chloride added is 5 times this number, the amount of sodium chloride added. So I can write that in kind of one big step here by adding the quantity of 5 times 22 and 854 thousandths. That's the amount of sodium chloride we're talking about. 5 times the amount of calcium chloride. Here we have the amount of calcium chloride here. So there's kind of 2 steps here, right? We need to do multiplication 5 times that and then add it to that. So let's look at that. The first thing I'm going to do is multiply 5 times 22 and 854 thousandths. And this is what that looks like. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. Add the regrouped 2 to make 27. 5 times 8 is 40. Add 2 to make 42. 5 times 2 is 20. Add 4 to make, 5 times 2 is 10. Add 4 to make 14. 5 times 2 is 10. Add 1 to make 11. And then we place our decimal point 3 over in the product because it's 3 over in the factors. There's only a decimal point in one of the factors there. Once we get that, that's basically, that's the total, right? That after we add in this, we'll have the total amount of mixture. So this is actually a 3-step problem. We now have to add the sodium chloride to the calcium chloride here. So the next step would be adding that up. And when you're adding up decimals, make sure the decimal points line up. Add column by column in case you need to regroup. And then we got that as the sum. So that's the amount of total mixture. But it says he divided it into 4 dishes. He divided it evenly into 4 dishes. So we're going to need to divide. So the last step would be doing 137 and 124 thousandths divided by 4. And that's what that looks like there. 4 doesn't fit into 1. 4 fits into 13 3 times. For the sake of time here, I'm not going to talk my way through the division. But you should get this as your answer for this problem. That's how much is in each dish. Decimal point has to go above where it is in the dividend. We didn't have to do any playing around with the decimal point here because we were dividing by a whole number. And I believe that's the last slide in the Class Connect, or in that's the last slide in this group of slides that I had prepared for this Class Connect. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, or come to Math Zone with questions. I hope this was a help, and I'll talk to you again soon.